guess I just want to start off by saying that I, for one, am relieved that there seems to be some sort of deal that has been made between the United States and Iran. Thank God. Thank God that this war that was never really a war or whatever seems to be coming to an end. Hopefully. Hopefully it doesn't get disrupted. Hopefully it doesn't get messed up. Israel, I'm looking at you. Maybe the bombings can stop. Maybe we give Lebanon a break. Maybe we vote for peace. And some people they don't want that. They don't want to continue this peace route. That thank God again. I'm team deal over here. I'm happy there's a deal. It was the only clear option that we really had. Either way, it's a loss for us, but it was the best option that we had out of all of the different bad ones. Some people, they don't agree. They feel like, you know what, you're doing half measures. We need to continue. Israel certainly doesn't agree. They said that this doesn't apply to us. We never agreed to this. Let the bombs continue, is what Israel is saying. And I think I think we just have to look ourselves in the mirror and just remind ourselves that you can't win them all. That's a saying for a reason. You can't win them all. And it's true for everybody else, just like it's true for America. We're finding out that that's just how it is. And it's okay. People don't necessarily know the details of this deal. Doesn't get released until Friday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. And yeah, some people are questioning whether or not this is going to be that different than the previous deal that we had, the one that Obama worked out, the one that Trump walked away from, the JCPOA. Is it going to be that different? People are speculating. That's all we could do. We can only go off of what Iran is saying. Apparently, it's fake news. It's the best deal there's ever been, and it might be. It might be. I don't want to squabble about the details of the deal. I'm just happy that there is a deal that seems to be made. Again, as long as it's not disrupted. Israel, I'm still looking at you. We got to make sure this goes through. Let's just make sure that nobody else needlessly dies. Is that okay? Is that all right? The United States and Iran appear close to an agreement to end the military conflict that began on February 28th. The war has severely disrupted global energy supplies and raised fuel and food prices by restricting maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Most people never even heard of the Strait of Hormuz before this. This is why we make a deal. Most people didn't even pay attention to this. They didn't even know that that had any effect on their fuel and food prices. I didn't know. Did you know? I never heard of the Strait of Hormuz. But now we all know that that's kind of like a choke point for America. You can't win them all. Sometimes, sometimes a deal is the best option. Sometimes you are the degenerate gambling addict that is billions of dollars in the hole in this case. Billions of dollars in the hole. If you look at we're trillions of dollars in the hole. But in this particular situation, you're billions of dollars in the hole. You have some options. Do you double down? Do you try to send in some people? Maybe this could work out. Maybe. Maybe you go further into the hole. Maybe there is even more that happens back at home. Because we already know that the tides are shifting. They're turning a little bit. Things aren't looking in your favor. So you have another option. You go home. You got your tail tucked between your legs, but you can still claim it a victory if you want. Do what you want. People are still going to look at things like the facts or whatever. They're still going to look at this in comparison to the deal that Trump walked away from before. It doesn't matter. This is the best option. You don't want the gambling addict to continue to gamble. And you don't want to provoke them by saying, oh, you're really losing by walking away. It's okay. Let's just get through this. And it doesn't help that Israel's going to keep throwing bombs. They want to keep the gambling going. I think a deal is the best option. We're team deal. This is the official stance that we have here at this show. You know, you can take it or leave it. It's okay. We all have different opinions. We're a team deal over here. Under the framework brokered by Pakistani Prime Minister Sharif, an initial deal would halt the war and allow the immediate reopening of the shipping lane. And some people, they're going to try and point at the fact that the shipping lane, the Strait of Hormuz, it was open before this war. You can't really call this a win, but these are the talking points that the president and everybody else on his cabinet, they'll be able to use this. And I'm not blaming them. You don't have much to use. So for the average person that hasn't really been paying attention, maybe they never heard of the Strait of Hormuz before this, and they haven't even been following what's been going on. They didn't realize that it was open before. Maybe these are terrorists. Terrorists. You know that word. That word that's supposed to make you shake. That word that's supposed to make you comply and say, okay, what you're doing makes sense. Say no more. Say less. This is enough. Terrorists. You had me there. You had me at hello. This is what we feel back home in America. So thank you. When you say that terrorists are going to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, I'm going to assume that the whole reason it was closed is because of these said terrorists, not because of the war of choice that was launched by America/Israel or whatever. Both. I'm looking at both of us. Okay, this was a catastrophic choice, and it's all right. Like I said, we can't win them all. If that's how you were looking at your own country, you didn't have the hubris to realize that there is a certain limit to your own abilities. And that's okay. That's okay. Nothing is invincible. Nothing's supposed to last forever. So you can't win them all. This was a bad deal. Some people are going to point at this, but use it as a talking point. President Trump noted that a deal has been made which would lift the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports, while Iran's foreign ministry indicated a formal signing is expected in the coming days. The agreement establishes a strict 60-day window following the initial signing to negotiate technical details regarding Iran's nuclear program. Hopefully they do adhere to the no nukes thing. That is what Iran is saying. They say, hey, just to reiterate, they said something along those lines. Like, hey, we're just reiterating that we won't do any nukes over here. And they say reiterate because that was in the original deal that was made by Obama. And Obama did a whole bunch of his own shit while he was in office. Don't get me wrong. But one of the good things, I would say, is the JCPOA. It took years. And yeah, they did enrich their uranium or whatever. I'm not a scientist, but they got it to like 60% or something. And apparently there's no country that has gotten it to that point without actually developing nukes. So this deal is a big deal for them to say, hey, we won't do the nukes. Maybe some people, again, it's just speculation at this point. That's all the common person can really do. That's all we can really do. Is you gotta speculate with the facts at hand. But the common person speculates that they were enriching up into that point because, hey, when you walk away from the deal, they had us at around 3%. There was nothing stopping us from expanding that. And they got into the 60s. So we could, is what some people think, is what they're trying to say. We could do this. We could get nukes. And I know the argument. Do you want these terrorists to have nukes? No, I don't really think that any of us need nukes per se. I mean, do we really need nukes? It's like a Western standoff at this point. You got all of the nuclear powered countries, I guess, with the capability to end the war, and it's like, again, like a standoff. Everybody's just holding their weapon. Don't make me push the button, because I could and I would. And if you don't have nukes, again, I like to hear the arguments on all sides. I just want to know what's going on. Like I said, the common person, all we could do is speculate. All we could do is gather the facts if you're interested. Most people aren't. Most people aren't interested because, I mean, the economy's stupid. That's always the answer. That's always the answer to this. Most people are, there's too much shit going around. And it's too easy to blame the closest thing to you. Whether it's somebody with a different race, somebody in a different financial class, whatever, your boss, because they're an asshole, whatever. People are just looking close. And some people look beyond. Like, hey, why do I feel like I can't get ahead? Why do I feel like this dollar, every dollar that I earn, is just constantly losing its value? What's going on? Do we need to spend billions on wars on the other side of the country or the world? It doesn't feel like an America problem. And I don't feel like that's not an anti-Israel thing. It's not an anti-Semite type of thing. It's a pro where we live type of thing. I think I think it's natural for everybody to feel that way for the country that they're in. If I was born and raised in Israel, I would probably feel the same way as them. Let's keep the bombs going. Let's keep it up. What do you mean pull out? Keep the money flowing over here. We we got work to do cuz they're close. They could. They're talking about they could. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me as a privileged American. I think the best bet is to just make a deal. Let's just make a deal. And yeah, so you have a 60-day where apparently it's going to be toll free. Some people are saying that there's going to be a toll after. Trump is saying that that's bullshit. So we'll see. We don't know what the deal is. I don't really care. I don't really care about the details with this one. I'm relieved that we're gonna finally stop this. And the deal is also expected to outline a phased lifting of economic sanctions and the release of frozen Iranian assets. And you got Trump and Vance. They're saying that this isn't going to be on the taxpayer. I hope not. I hope it's not going to come from us. But to be honest, if this turned into another Iraq Afghanistan situation, the 300 billion or whatever they were talking about, that would be nothing if you think about everything that would be spent in a quagmire like that. I think the best thing that we could have done is just say, "Hey, buddy, you're in the hole. I know you're a degenerate gambler, but you need to stop." And Trump seems to finally be listening. Maybe he wasn't being blackmailed. Maybe he really just thought this was going to be a Venezuela type of situation. Maybe he didn't have the ability to check his ego when it finally dawned on him that this isn't going to be a winning situation. Maybe the midterms was his final. He knew it was coming up. He knew that the closer to the midterms that he was eventually going to have to pull the plug. He knew Israel would be upset. He was going to have to start publicly saying things like, "You're fucking crazy," because people, they already think that his asshole is a little bit hurt and unclenched from the Israeli fist that has been shoved up there and commanding his every movement like the puppet that he is. That's what a lot of people think. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. Who am I? Like I said, the common person, that's all I am. The common person, we can only speculate. We can only try to come to a reasonable conclusion. So I don't know. So maybe this was him saying, "Hey, no, I have clenched my asshole. Turns out I'm a real boy. I'm not a puppet. Okay? And we're done. We're done funding this. You remember what I ran on? No new wars. We're gonna get back to that. It's kinda no continuation of this war. And that's me. That's my team. Team deal. Team deal. And yeah, I know the initial instinct of a lot of people is going to be pointing at the other side, saying it's all their fault, or saying, "Hey, isn't Isn't this a big showcase of how stupid they are or whatever it is? And you got the war hawks over here that turning on Trump as quickly as they all of a sudden were pro Trump. And now they're saying again, this was a big disaster. And I guess I understand to an extent. If you wanted this war, if you were one of the people that wanted this war for some reason, it makes sense that you'd want to get her done. You'd want to finish that shit. There ain't no point in doing it halfway. We might as well finish. Because like a lot of people are pointing out and are going to continue to point out, especially again midterms coming up, this is going to be something that is talked about a lot. The deal is essentially probably going to be the same, maybe even more uh more good things for the Iranians, because I mean, hey, they did kind of show a sign of strength. And when you negotiate from strength instead of weakness, you get kind of a better deal. That's just historically looking at things. Again, I'm just speculating. They didn't let the details out. Iran decided to say, "Hey, these are what the details are of the deal." And America, for some reason, is saying no. The U.S. says no. We're not going to tell you the details because Pakistan said they told us not to. They don't care what Iran says. They, for some reason, care about what we tell you peons. You know, the motherfuckers that live here, that vote, that think their vote actually changes anything. You people. Yeah, they didn't want us to tell you until I guess it's too late. They didn't want to hear any bullshit. They want this deal to go through. So if they see anything, and by they I mean we, the peons that live in America, it is the common person that might say, "Hey, wait a minute. You might not be spending our tax money to pay this 300 billion or whatever, but you did pay that with the taxpayers to launch this war in the first place. Not to mention all of the shit you're sending to Israel for the other war that they're in." And I say war like they're going against, an actual army. And I'm not pro Hamas. I don't think anybody should be pro Hamas except for, I guess, people in Hamas. They are doing acts of terror too. You see two bad guys, you don't say, "Hey, this one is worse, so I'm team this other bad guy." No, y'all both suck. So we're we're paying for this shit anyways. So I think team deal over here. The more of these we can exit out of quietly, loudly, I don't care. The more of these we can leave, the better. And it probably will be replaced with something else. It will be. Let's think about it. This is how this is how the this is how the people in the military industrial complex continue to get paid. If you make bombs, you make money by selling bombs. And you sell bombs when there's wars. It makes sense. It makes sense. I guess, you can't be too mad at it. It's what it's what we've all been born into. Nobody alive today has been born into a world where people weren't just stockpiling bombs. It just it is what it is. I guess this is what we do. At the end of the day, that is what the world comes to. Is you are in whatever group you're in based on where you're born, and everybody's just pointing weapons at each other. Let you not have a nuke. That's when you do stuff to the little countries. Little baby Venezuela. We will kidnap your president. That's what you do to them. You don't have nukes. Somebody trying to get up to the point of having nukes. Whoa, whoa, we gotta start bombing you. We gotta start bombing you. Now let's make a deal. I don't know what else to say other than I'm relieved. I'm happy that there seems to be a deal. I just hope that it's not all messed up. And again, people are going to criticize it. The I hope the amount of people criticizing this deal isn't going to make Trump want to go back to this war. Like I said, it seems like, just the observer over here. It seems like Trump has a hard time with his ego. You know, when you are very wealthy, when you are born into wealth like that, I assume that there's not too many things that would check your ego. And I guess that's why a lot of trust fund babies, they end up burning out. And obviously that didn't happen to Trump. Not knocking this man. He say what you will. He made money, and some people will criticize how he made money and what did you know? The only reason I don't fucking care. I don't care. People care too much. That's what's wrong with people. Like I said, everybody just wants to point to the closest thing they could see. Because like the cliche statement is cliche for a reason. It's the economy, stupid. That's why everybody is so heated. People are going to look at this and they're going to judge. I just hope that his ego, it doesn't make him say, you know what? I'll show you how to finish a war. I'll show you that I wouldn't have gotten a quagmire. I'll show you how to outmaneuver the opposition, because this wouldn't be the first time Trump says, hey, let's make a deal. And then boom, bombs. Gotcha. So if I were Iran, I would be skeptical, as they are, as they claim to be. It makes sense. So maybe this is him just trying to bluff. It's only been electronically signed. As of recording this today, it hasn't actually gone through in a physical signing, which doesn't make too much sense to me. I guess it's different, but like legally you can e-sign shit. I don't know how different whatever. Again, I'm not trying to judge this too much because I just want it to go through. Let's just let it go through. And Obama, the president that had the original deal with Iran, he does have some things to say about this whole thing with Iran. So former President Obama, everybody.
You spent a lot of time wrestling with the threat of a nuclear Iran. How do you think things are being handled right now there?
Bad.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place, and had worked for a long stretch of time.
He definitely seemed upset about that. You could see that was a man haunted about the years lost by Trump just walking away from that deal. He just thinks about the amount of times that he told Michelle that, hey, we knew this is how it would go. I got to get some things done. Iran, they can't have nukes. I got to get this deal through. Now he realizes all this time is going to be, it's going to be wasted, flush, down the toilet. It means nothing now. Look at this. And it's kind of somebody that's saying like, hey, what can I say? You walked away from my deal. And like I said, Obama, he did his own shit. You know, he went back on his own campaign promises. They all do it. It's not a left or a right thing. It's not a Democrat, Republic. They all fucking suck. It's the same thing like I was talking about with Israel and Hamas. Like they all suck. And this isn't me being anti anything. Just like I'm not anti myself or any other American by saying that our politicians, our government sucks. The average citizen isn't the person behind any of these things. The average Iranian isn't thinking about nukes. They're thinking about how they're going to feed their family. And that's what the common person is thinking. And maybe that's the luxury that we have of being the common person. We get to be the ones on the side. You don't have to think about the people with the nukes. I don't know. It's one of those things that you try to make your best guess on what should be done. But you know in the back of your mind, at least I know, that there are so many things that I'm not even aware of. There are so many other factors at play. And it's not as simple as the common person on the side makes it out to be. But sometimes it's It is as simple as just walking away. That's why I'm pro deal.